Legend of Total War here, and today it appears as though Creative Assembly has taken a page out of Game of Thrones Season 8 and gone full insane and just have trying to burn everything to the ground because they are banning people on the Steam forums, seemingly left, right, and center. So this person here has provided a reason why they got banned on the Steam forums, and from what I've seen here, it seems to be a pretty trivial reason to ban someone. Now, the Steam forums, if you're ever familiar with, and I don't think there's a lot of people here that do frequent the Steam forums, and I try not to go there too often, but basically there is a lot of off-topic discussion on Steam forums. They're usually somewhat related to Total War, but people do a lot of trolling. They're oftentimes rude, dismissive, giving away the Jester Award left, right, and center. It's not a place to go for a warm and fuzzy feeling. However, the Steam forums has usually been a good safe haven for people who are Creative Assembly apologists. There's nothing wrong with that. There's a good place for you there. So they've usually been very pro Creative Assembly. And so Creative Assembly coming in there and popping down the absolute ban hammer on the Steam forums is significant, I think. So let's go through this information. You guys let me know what you think. Maybe some of you guys are more informed than I am. I'm certainly not going to sit here and say that I know everything. I'm just going to present to you guys what I do know, give you my thoughts, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, so this link here leads to this one. So it says here, you have been banned from the Total War Warhammer 3 community hub by Total War Warhammer 3 developer for your post in Total War Warhammer 3 general discussions. So I'll read it out. It says, so I was in the middle of writing my magnum opus of Sonic the Hedgehog erotic fanfiction when I got a phone call from my uncle who works for CA Management. Just going to stop there for a moment because this here, as soon as he says my uncle who works for CA Management, I know immediately that everything that comes after this is a joke, because this is a very common, essentially a trope within the Total War fan base, where I've heard it plenty of times in my own streams where, hey, I've got an uncle who said that Creative Assembly's next Total War game is Harry Potter Total War. It's always bullshit. It's a way for somebody to tell a joke and for you to know it's a joke. It's essentially them going -S, right? Anyway. So he continues saying, he told me some big news. Obviously, I can't tell you the name of my uncle, but his name starts with R, as in I'm going to rob you since costs are up, wink wink. The big news is that the Goon Squad hurt his feelings and he's giving up. He declared bankruptcy while talking on the phone with me, and I expect the news to become official next week. You did it, Goon Squad, you won. You made my uncle cry and killed CA with your vile shenanigans and tricks. He is now flying away in his golden parachute. At least now I can stop playing Total War games and finish my book about Sonic. Now, this is not particularly on topic for Total War Warhammer 3, but it is absolutely in sort of in theme of the Steam community discussions that go on. People are making jokes there all the time. Now, I imagine that this draws a line with Creative Assembly because it is not talking about Total War Warhammer 3 specifically. It is talking about Creative Assembly, which, by the way, there is no Steam community forum for discussion about Creative Assembly. But it draws a line because this is taking a joke at their expense, which is something that Creative Assembly have a notorious amount of thin skin for. So it's fine for people to hurl lies about creators and other members of the community, as long as it's not about Creative Assembly, because that's where they draw the line. So that earns someone a ban there. And this person here is actually a modder of the new Artifacts mod, which is a very popular mod. Adds a whole bunch of artifacts to the game for Total War Warhammer 3. So he's not going to be able to update that anymore. I do hope that even though his appeal was denied, that he does manage to get his access to the Steam forums restored. Because I think that this is a heavy-handed approach, and I'm definitely not in favor of heavy-handed approaches to moderating. Really, Creative Assembly's best option, I reckon, is to bury heads in sand at this point, because the community is not happy, and pretending otherwise is you're only going to hurt yourself. I mean, it's fair enough if you don't want to address it because you just don't have anything good to say. I get that. A lot of people are calling for Creative Assembly to be more transparent, to give out some information about what the fuck is going on. And I totally understand Creative Assembly not wanting to do that. That's their MO. That's what they always do. Used to it. It's fine. But them going heavy-handed on this approach doesn't really make sense from a business point of view, because what you're doing is you're pissing off what few customers you've got left. You can't afford to lose any more customers, Creative Assembly. The fact that people are actually communicating on your forums, you should be thankful that anyone's still there. I mean, it wasn't Warhammer 3, and Warhammer 3 forum, like the game is not dying anytime soon, but this stuff is happening on the Pharaoh forum as well, and Pharaoh's it's not looking so good with that one either. It has it has actually fallen below my meager predictions. So that's interesting. But anyway, so we've also got this one here as well. Welcome to the End Times banned. So this seems beyond trivial. This is not worthy of a ban whatsoever, in my opinion. And this person, got banned for that. So that got 1,000 upvotes, and I contributed to that. I really should upvote that one as well. Whatever. And then I reckon that this discussion around Rob is probably a very sensitive topic for Creative Assembly because of something that Voland has made a video upon earlier. And it's entirely up to you if you want to go and browse Voland's content. I'm not going to push it on you guys. I do talk to Voland privately, and we talk about this kind of stuff. Obviously, the information that he's getting is from his sources, from apparently ex-CA developers. Creative Assembly's got a lot of ex-CA developers at the moment. They just fired hundreds of staff. And so these disgruntled staff are apparently trying to find some way to basically get their story out, to basically make it so that the last few years working at Creative Assembly wasn't for nothing. And so information is basically coming out everywhere now. Creative Assembly can't plug up the ship fast enough to stop the leaks. But as for whether or not you want to subject yourself to all that, that's entirely up to you. But anyway, the claim here is that Chief Product Officer Rob Bartholomew has been sacked, which is interesting, but also not super important. Right? Just hear me out on this. If he's been sacked, obviously he's been sort of like the scapegoat for this whole situation ever since the Shadows of Change Let's Talk About blog. He hasn't been a very popular man, Rob Bartholomew, in the Total War community, and it's quite possible that he did get sacked. He is a top-level executive. It's also possible he didn't get sacked. It's hard to say. But the thing is with this kind of claim here is that it's verifiable. If it's not true, Creative Assembly, all they have to do is say, hey, here's Rob Bartholomew as at the work. Here he is right now, and he's not sacked. And then this whole... the thing is, if they did that, a lot of Voland's credibility starts to crumble if they do that. But if it is true, then here is Creative Assembly's sort of options, and they're not good. Let's just say hypothetically that it is true. Rob Bartholomew has been sacked, and here are Creative Assembly's options, right? They can, on one hand, acknowledge it. They say, put out a small post and say, Chief Product Officer Rob Bartholomew has left the company. We wish him well in his future endeavors, blah, 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 blah. Your typical sort of statement. At which point, the Total War community goes, Voland was right. Let's dance in the street. Yay, Rob Bartholomew was gone. Because he's just not a popular dude. Nobody wants him in the Total War community right now. He's responsible for the price increases, essentially. Well, at least he's being blamed for it. Don't know if he is directly responsible for it, but we don't have anyone else to blame, and everybody wants someone to blame. So that's one option, which doesn't seem preferable from a business point of view to have people celebrating the loss of one of your executives. Then from another point of view, you could deny it. Okay, assuming this is actually true, you could lie and deny it and say, oh no, it is actually not true. Rob Bartholomew is totally still here, but then eventually it will come out somehow because he's a top level executive. He's going to have a LinkedIn page. This information is going to be publicly listed. And if it's ever discovered the Creative Assembly lied about it, the shitstorm that will happen down the track. That would not be good for them. I mean, they've been caught lying in the past, but a lot of the lies are kind of, they're not super big lies. They're like kind of whitish, grayish lies. They're like, costs are up, but I'm not telling you why they're up, because hyenas, we just wasted $100 million on hyenas. They're sort of like the truth, but not the truth. That's kind of how Creative Assembly works. This gray area between truth and outright lie. Where they operate. So denying, if that is true and they deny it, that's obviously a big no-no. They're not going to do that. And so the other option then is to simply say nothing, which is probably what they want to do. Say nothing about it, and that way this will, in their eyes, hopefully blow over. People will forget about Rob Bartholomew, and they can just move on and continue doing whatever it is they want to do. And then there's a statement here on the price increase for Shadows of Change DLC. He states that Rob Bartholomew has internally communicated that they would not be reacting to the outrage and would not be decreasing the price, that they would wait for it to blow over. So this is very typical of Creative Assembly, and I don't necessarily disagree with them from a business point of view, which I really do need to state a business point of view. From a moral point of view, none of this makes sense, but whatever. That's not what their objectives are. So that they would not be reacting to the outrage. Well, that's not a reference to this stuff here. Okay, this is not. This is reacting to outrage. Okay, for one thing. But in terms of the actual statement, not reacting to it, that seems to be what they would most likely do, would not be decreasing the price. Yeah, I didn't think we would decrease the price because I heard from my sources is that, and again, you can take my sources with a pinch of salt as well, because it's just information that gets sent to me and it either is true or it isn't. I just don't know. But Shadows of Change apparently made more profit than other DLC. It's just that they didn't make that profit on Steam. They made it elsewhere, but it was more profitable than previous DLC. And even though it didn't didn't sell as many units, it made more profit. And using the price discrimination method, which I've or model that I've spoken about before, where they try to get as much money out of each person that they possibly can by doing these high price to begin with, and then slowly get everyone else over time with sales. That does seem to be pretty a reasonable thing to assume that Shadows of Change actually did make them a fair bit of money, and that Thrones of Decay is either going to be the same price as Shadows of Change, or it may even be more expensive. So we'll just have to wait and see with that. Personally, I really hope it's not more expensive, but they also might be adding more content to it, because I've heard as well that Thrones of Decay is delayed. You know, it's supposed to be coming out in 2023, but I bet you it's not. So we'll wait and see what happens with that. And then, wait for it to blow over, which is very much what Creative Assembly has done in the past. But the thing is, if you hound this company enough, they definitely sort of break this method, or lack of method, and they start to not wait for it to blow over and react, which is kind of what's happening here. When people poke the bear enough, and they've been significantly poked by all means. And you know what? I've contributed to that poking. I'm not going to deny it. I've been poking them a lot lately. And so if you poke the bear enough, the bear will eventually bite back. And that's kind of what's happening here. So if we have a look at some stuff here, we're in the Total Warhammer 3 forums on Steam. Just having a look at what's been going on. You can see here that quite a lot of threads are being locked. There's obviously people making fun of Creative Assembly. This one here is a completely sarcastic response. I'm not going to go through every single one of it. We'll be here all day. And then this is when they would be asleep, so that's naturally, don't expect a lot of locked threads there. They locked Rob Bartholomew's statement. There's the End Times one. That's from this one here. So that person was banned. And devs are responding to the forum. Creative Assembly statement regarding Total War DLC. Would this game exist if Civil War never happened? Three Kingdoms very good. So for some reason locked threads. But if we have a look at, if we go back like a couple of days, is this a usual behavior? Okay, so this here is before the threads being locked. Okay, so you can see some threads get locked. Let's have a look. How often do they? Yeah, it happens. It's definitely more frequent over the past 24 hours for sure, but every now and again, a thread gets locked. I'm not going through every last one of them, so maybe I should actually do that. That'll actually make it a bit clearer. And you can see here, this was October 10th, so it's not that far long ago. There's just nothing really being locked there. And this absolute bin fire of a community outrage stuff has been going on ever since before this. So it's the locking of threads and the banning of people. I think that it was actually more of a smaller thing that's sort of become more ramped up. And it'll be curious to see what happens over the next 24 hours as well. So let's go to Pharaoh now and have a look at that. Wow, 1,000 people playing the game. Cool. That's been done to death now. So if we go to discussions and have a look at that. So these players here, there's new stuff. Creative Assembly would be waking up right about now, so we should be seeing some locked threads pretty soon. So we go to page 3, and we got people pointing out that mixed reviews. Give us Empire 2. So let's actually have a look at some of these and see if they're really lock worthy. So this person banned. Give us Empire 2. Give us Empire 2. F this. Okay. I don't think that this is worthy of a ban personally. This is obviously outrage, and you could argue disrespectful, but this person is a customer who wants a Total War game that has been requested for a very long time. I personally wouldn't have banned this because you've made this person a martyr now. They're going to feel even more justified. So that was just... You have every right to ban this person, I think, but you shouldn't have done it. That's what I think there. So let's go back. Let's have a look at some of the other ones. Total War Rise of Islam. This person has been banned. So again, this is pretty. There's nothing disrespectful here or outrageous. This person is just requesting for Total War Rise of Islam, which, a personal preference. Some people will think it's a bad idea. Some people will like the idea of that game. I don't think that this is particularly off topic. I mean, sure, they're not talking about Total War Pharaoh, but where can you go and discuss about future Total War games, if not the most recent Total War game? That's the big question I want to have. Maybe they shouldn't be talking on the Steam forums. They should be going to Total War Reddit. Which, by the way, the Total War Reddit is not moderated by Creative Assembly staff, but Creative Assembly staff do have a communication link to the moderators so that they can request things get taken down sometimes, and they'll usually do that for isolated posts. So if there's just like one post with a leak and they want to get ahead of it, they'll often tell the moderators will ban it, that kind of stuff, or just delete it. But if there's multiple threads of something, usually they just leave it alone, or they'll try to get rid of a couple. Who knows? But at the moment, it doesn't seem to be too many. It doesn't seem to be any moderating really going on that much in the Total War subreddit. Honestly, I've been really quite fond of the Total War subreddit recently, which is something I wasn't expecting. So I just want to state that I appreciate you guys on the Total War subreddit. Even if you're not fans of me, I appreciate the discussions that you're doing, and I am giving you guys the thumbs up a lot of the times. Okay, just doing that. I'm doing that quietly behind the scenes. I'm actually responding to a few more messages here and there on Reddit. So just letting you know, you guys you're okay by me. Anyway. So let's have a look at some more. Now, if I go back, it'll go to my library. So let's have a look at some more of these. Total War game we actually need. This person didn't get banned, but Medieval 3. Yeah, that's been done to death. I still don't see that as being necessarily a need for locked. Maybe you could merge that, but whatever. I guess you could target that one as off topic. But yeah, there's a lot of these. Total War Russian Empire. And I think it really comes down to this. Nobody really wanted Total War Pharaoh, or I should say very few people wanted Total War Pharaoh. And so historical fans have been waiting for ages for a Total War game that they want. And so they didn't get what they want. And so they're telling Creative Assembly, hey, we want this. And they should allow this discussion somewhere, collate it, and just see which one gets the most friggin' upvotes or which one has the most conversation around, and fucking make that Total War game. Because everybody here wants to throw money at Creative Assembly, but you got to make the product, and they don't want to throw money at Pharaoh. So that's just how it is, unfortunately. And then you've got a bunch of people mentioning how many players there are, a week after release, which is fair enough because this is an outlying situation, and I get that it's been done to death, and I've definitely contributed to it. But Total War Pharaoh has the lowest number of players after a launch of any Total War game. The fact that it has scraping by 1,000 players at a sort of medium peak time, sort of in the middle. In fact, I've got the thing open here. I can actually bring this up. I always have this up because I like to monitor things. We're sort of midway through the incline. If we have a look at how things have been going, peaking at 1,600, going down to a bottoming of 700. Not good for a major historical Total War game. In fact, that's not even good for a saga game there. But again, that's been done to death. And conversation on that is going to continue. People are going to keep posting it and possibly get banned. Who knows? But overall, I think that Creative Assembly is being a little bit too heavy-handed with this kind of stuff, and they should chill a bit and listen to what Rob Bartholomew actually said, because he's not actually wrong. Look, Creative Assembly really have two viable options here, in my opinion. Wait for it to blow over, which is what they usually do. It will work, but you got to stick to it. Okay, it's going to take a while. You're going to have to barrow down the hatches for a bit. Okay, you're going to have to wait for quite a while for this to blow over, because it's a pretty big fire. You have to wait for it to blow over, and then wait until the next DLC comes out. Let's just say you got Thrones of Decay. Blow our socks off with Thrones of Decay, okay? As soon as you get a great Thrones of Decay, and we see Tamarkan, and we got all these great mechanics, and we see that it's $25, and the price didn't increase, and you guys did a great job, and there's some bonus crap that we weren't expecting. It's just better than Shadows of Change. You're going to get all the creators come out and be like, yay, Creative Assembly did it. Because right now, most of the creators are fucking silent. They're basically taken a holiday and pissed off somewhere else, which is understandable, right? I've already put myself in the firing line, so there's no point in me taking a break now. So that's fine. And in fact, it's actually, things have been pretty good on the channel the past few days. I've gained 3 times as many subscribers as I did over the past month, or even the past 6 months even, on average. And everything's been pretty good. And that being said, I'm covering more historical Total War games now, which I intend to continue doing because I'm actually really enjoying it. Still, of course, intend to cover Warhammer 3. But anyway, like I said, a lot of creators are noping out of the situation. They're not going to sit here and stand in the firing line to defend Creative Assembly, but they're also not going to stand against Creative Assembly. And that's a very reasonable take to make, considering that they kind of depend on the creator program, and if they took a stand, they probably would put that in jeopardy. Maybe not straight away, but it definitely wouldn't hurt. Speaking of which, I should clear something up about misinformation. People have been saying, not everybody, but some people have been saying that I got kicked out of the program for criticizing Creative Assembly, and I don't think that is true. I think that I have been critical of Creative Assembly, but I don't think that, and so have a lot of other people, and definitely I've been excessively critical, but it's not the criticism that got me, that tore the partnership apart. It was hostility. It was things like accusations that I would say. Things like Creative Assembly are liars. They backstab the community. That is the difference between what I'm saying and what other creators are saying. A lot of creators will say things like, Creative Assembly did a bad job of this particular DLC. Creative Assembly will normally accept that. But if someone comes out and says, Creative Assembly are liars, they routinely don't tell the truth, they backstab the community, that kind of stuff, that's where they kind of draw a line. Now, that being said, and I'm not going to apologize for anything that I said about that, because I 100% believe it. They absolutely did lie. They absolutely did backstab the community, and they absolutely did DMCA strike Voland, as far as I'm aware. So I'm not going to apologize for any of that unless I'm proven wrong, which so far I haven't. But that's where it draws the line. It's not about criticism. It's about going that step above and really making those sort of accusations against them, which is not partner program material, which is understandable. I'm not angry at Creative Assembly for severing ties with me about this, because the partner program was not worth anything. So don't worry about that. I do see a lot of conversation about, they banned Legend of Total War for criticizing them. No, I didn't. No, they didn't. Okay, so just it's chill about that. Don't worry about me. This partner program has been over for essentially a year, and it was basically hanging on by a thread. It just made it official, that's all. But I haven't really been in the partner program since Immortal Empires, not really. So yeah, just want to clear that up a little bit, because again, even though it's not directly hurting me, it's a bit of misinformation, so I want to clear that up a little bit. Anyway, so that's my take on this situation here. I think that Creative Assembly should either wait for it to blow over, or come clean with a lot of the stuff. But I'm curious to hear what you guys think about it. I think they're being quite heavy-handed with it. Unusually so. They usually, previously, had a bit of a soft hand with this kind of moderation. But I think that I think that generally speaking, they're at their wits' end at Creative Assembly. They don't know what to do. The whole house of cards is crumbling down around them. And really, they only have themselves to blame, because, they lost $100 million on Hyenas on a game that nobody wanted. They made Pharaoh. It's a flop. They've not done a great job with Total War Warhammer 3. They killed Total War 3 Kingdoms. It hasn't been a great couple of years for Creative Assembly. And though there was a little bit of overlap there with Warhammer 2, which I loved the production of Warhammer 2, which again, I want to claim this as well, make this statement. My relationship with Creative Assembly during the Warhammer 2 years of 2021 and 2022 were pretty good. It really soured at the launch of Warhammer 3. That's when things took a massive turn, and it was almost instantly. But prior to that, things were pretty good. I just want to make that statement. Anyway, that's the end of my video here. Want to know what your thoughts are. Hopefully the community calms down a little bit, but I also want to state that if you've got an opinion on any of this, whether it be negative or positive, you are entirely entitled to your opinion. You're also entitled to not have an opinion if you don't want to. If you want to nope out of all of this and you just don't want to deal with it, you're entitled to that. No one can tell you what your level of involvement needs to be and what your opinions need to be. Form your own opinions and form your own level of involvement and feel comfortable in what you're doing. And as long as you're being honest with yourself and others, who can say anything against you, even if you're completely against me. I support your right to say whatever you truly believe. Anyway, that's the end of this one. Appreciate you guys, and we'll see you next time. Later, guys.